Afternoon everybody, and welcome to this afternoon's video update for Cyclone Alfred. So we're just going to start off with, because I just do this in my photo gallery, so the stupid phone seems to save them in the worst order, but anyway, so we will just tackle them as they turn up. Right, so we're going to start with the European model with its 50 ensembles here, and as you can see, it's a bit of a spaghetti junction again, but the majority of them are pointing towards a more north of Brisbane track still. So this has been consistent for a few days, minus I think probably 1 or 2 runs, but for the most part the track has remained stable, being on the north side of Brisbane. Most of it has around about Redcliffe or Bribie Island, from what I've seen and looked around at. So that's generally the area where it will probably cross. So we'll just look at the Bureau's track map, and as I mentioned in the text, yesterday he did a bit of a stall and a reverse track, and but today the steering has generally returned back to what it was prior, and the system's now moving in a more westerly direction. Now what is expected now, which is a good thing in the sense that the winds should be less than what was originally expected. Now it's, as he hits the Moreton Island, it's expected to weaken to a Category 1. So when it does come across the onto the mainland, the winds will probably be around the 120 mark, maybe lower, just depending on exactly what happens at the time of landfall. As people have seen with this system, he's been very unpredictable, which is pretty standard for a Coral Sea cyclone. So he could put a curveball out, but this is generally what the data is showing us right now. And this kind of scenario has been thrown up since I think yesterday morning I was looking at it. So having that now on the track map is good. So it's just trending towards that scenario now. But with everything, it's always best to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So if it does weaken down, wind-wise, that's good. Rainfall-wise, potentially not so much, but I'll get into that a bit later on. Okay, so now we're just looking at the satellite image. So this is the grayscaled infrared image. Excuse me. And as you can see, the convection that is visible is on the south side this afternoon. So we've got a lot of quite deep convection happening out there. And if hopefully this lined up correctly, but we should see, yeah, there we go. So this is a GIF, so a loop of the cloud height, and as you can see, there is quite strong convection on the south side of the storm this afternoon, as I just mentioned. You can see that with the red and even the black little dots within that red there. So that basically means that the clouds are high, meaning stronger convection, and obviously the higher they are, the colder they are. So that's what we're seeing there. A colder temperature meaning a higher cloud, meaning stronger convection there. So that's what is happening basically on the satellite images. Now we're just going to go and have a look at the Joint Typhoon Watch Centre track map here. And they are pretty much showing exactly the same as what the bomb and most of the other master models are showing, which is a more northerly track. Now he may track further north than what is expected here. That has been the trend over the last couple of days. Like I say, other than that, just brief time yesterday morning, I believe it was, where the track maps had him going south of Brisbane. Most of them have been trending to the north of Brisbane. So it's good to see the Joint Typhoon watch center is also showing that as well. Apologies for these notifications popping up. This is a screen record I'm doing, so I thought I muted all the channels, but anyway. Moving on. So, yeah, so Joint Typhoon Center is, Typhoon Warning Center is a US Navy run service, and generally speaking, they are pretty good. I'd actually probably rate them better than our own Weather Bureau tracks. So to see that they have pretty much come in line with what the Bureau is saying is showing that the Bureau is also, pretty much in line with what should happen. So that's always good news. When the models and agencies start lining up, it's always a good sign. Okay, so we're moving on to more track maps. So with the GFS assembles, so the GEFS, stumbling over me words, the tracks have condensed and also moved more to the north, which is in track with everything else. So that's a little bit more model agreement with the GFS model. Now you can see there are a couple of Zembles that throw it up towards the Fraser Coast. It's unlikely, but it's a possibility. As we've seen these Zembles, one of them usually is right. So that could be it, but highly unlikely at this stage. So it's more likely with the other track maps, it will be north of Brisbane, probably across the Moreton Island, and making landfall around Redcliffe or Bribie at this stage. Now this is another offshoot of the GFS model, but it's GEPS. I forget off the top of my head what that stands for, but that's not really relevant. So the tracks are pretty much similar to the rest. It does push the system a little further south initially, and then going up to the north and crossing pretty much west of Moreton Island when it hits the mainland. Okay, I don't know why I've got that one twice, but anyway. Okay, so now we're going to head on to the rainfall. Now this is the multi-model. So as I've explained in posts, the multi-model is a basically an averaging of several models together. So they take them all, put all what it's going to say, and just give you a more... It's lower resolution, but it gives what I find a bit more of a accurate look at what's going to outcome without having the bias that each individual model usually has. So they all have biases towards one way or another, so this generally eliminates that. It's not always perfect, but overall it's a pretty good little indicator. Now, as you can see, the most of the rainfall has actually gone north with the rest of the modelling, because most of the other modelling has the individual models have put the rainfall further north because of the system going further north. But we still have that little 300 to 400 section over Lismore, which will still be quite concerning if that does fall. However, we are seeing that general north trend of rainfall, and it does look like the most of it will likely be offshore. But as a rule here, it looks like generally 300 to 500 mils is the consensus of what rainfall will fall. So definitely worth keeping an eye on this as it moves closer to landfall, because if it does weaken and turn into a low either before hitting or just after hitting, the rainfall will spread out. So that's generally what happens with tropical lows, and why often when you want more rainfall to fall, a tropical low is always the preferred system. For me up here in Darwin, we always like when we get a tropical low that just tracks along the southern top end, because that will then pull in plenty of moisture and widespread rainfall will occur instead of just being focused in small areas. Well, that's about all today, so a bit of a ramble, but as I've said in many of my videos, I'm not very good when it comes to just talking like this, but I try to get as much information across as simple as possible. So thank you for watching once again, and don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and I will continue doing little video updates like this for you. Have a good day.